For a start, the Hot Rod Handicap feature. The green flag has been waved and away they go on 15 laps. And it's the 86 of Ian Rixton who has jumped into the lead. Now Chris Snyder moves into second position. Steve Simmons moves back through the pack fairly quickly. Bruce McCulloch up to third. Now Darren Scott moving around the field also. And these back markers looking for a way through but can't get any way through at the moment. Greg Ross moves up on the inside of Darren Scott to move into fourth position. Danny Hayes has moved up a couple of positions, as has Tom Grant. Then back to Ron St. John a little bit. And Gary Jeffs on his outside, David King, Chris Whiting and Graham Gillespie and Alan Baker all starting to bunch up. Now Ian Rixton spun out on turn 4. And let's hope he can get going and this race can continue. We've got Chris Snyder, who's a good leader at this stage, and Ian Rixton's out of danger and moves away, and the race will continue. Now Greg Ross has moved up on the outside of McCulloch to move into second position, and I'd say that Chris Snyder is in danger of losing his leading position because Ross in that car is pretty quick. Now the back markers can't seem to find a way through, although Gary Jeffs is clear of the field now. David King moves out, as does the pit crew car of 21, Johnny Lawler, and he's got some tow. Now Darren Scott, something's gone amiss with his car, and the whole field basically has come to a stop back there. Eric Lavender, something's gone amiss with his car also. David Hopping says, well, I'll continue to give you a push, hope you can get it going again, but we're under the red lights. And we'll have a restart here in the 15-lapper, the modified Hot Rod Handicap feature. So Darren Scott slowed remarkably over the other side, and the rest of the field bunched up behind him. Something had to go amiss there, and I think Eric Lavender and David Hopping are hooked up. So the yellow lights are flashing, coming up for a restart with 12 to go, and away we go. And as I thought, Greg Ross has got a little bit too much power for Chris Snyder, and he's jumped into the lead. And I think he's going to be fairly hard to mow down from there, although there's 12 laps to go. And some of these back markers, if they can get clear, will certainly put the power on. Now Ross leads, and the back markers certainly start to jam up on these slower drivers. McCulloch, Gary Jeffs, now Joe Lawler got a clip there from Danny Hayes and slammed into the wall, but good driving Joe Lawler, and he's kept it together, but something obviously had to come amiss there because he hit that wall very, very hard indeed, and Graham Edmund moved into the infield coming to grief too. Joe Lawler's parked over there near pit gates, and he certainly got whacked. He just clipped Danny Hayes and slammed into the wall in front of the grandstand. And I think Joe said, woo, I think I've had enough. Flashing yellow. Good line, should get a start, and we do. And Greg Ross straight to the lead. Alan Baker looking for a way through on the inside of Bruce McCulloch. Couldn't get through there at that stage. Now Chris Snyder and Greg Ross out in front from Gary Jeffs and David King. Then Eric Lavender and Graham Gillespie moving up on Lavender now. Craig Wrightson in a good position too with 10 laps to go to challenge from there. Then back to a few of the quicker cars. But Ross is out in front and doing a fair job at this stage. And the little black machine, although it's probably not one of your better looking machines in the field tonight of Chris Snyder, is doing a good job also. And it's got a fair bit of power as Chris Snyder. He hangs on to second place. Gary Jeffs in third. Then David King. Graham Gillespie switching to the high line now and trying to get around Eric Lavender, but he was interrupted there by David King. Now I've just put the mocker straight on Chris Snyder because something's gone amiss with the black machine, and David King is in an awful position there, but they've all missed him. Tom Grant nearly cleaning up Joe Lawler there as he came into the infield, but David King would have had his heart in his mouth then as he got sideways and started to face the wrong way with the field closing on him very, very quickly. But everything's been avoided, and there was a few gasps up here. But David King okay.
It'll be something like Custerfelt going into the Indian charge, I reckon, with David King getting sideways there.
Okay, 9 laps to go. Now Greg Ross will have a more serious contender this time, and Gary Jeffs up front. So the yellow light is flashing. They're coming around for a start, and away they go. And Greg Ross still trying to hang on to that lead. Can he hang on? He does so as they go into turn 1. Gary Jeffs, Eric Lavender giving a shunt there, in actual fact getting a little bit of a helping hand. Alan Baker and Peter Olsen coming to grips there. Peter Olsen facing the wrong way, and we'll have another restart with not one of those laps completed. So the Hot Rodders having a little bit of trouble getting this 15 lap completed tonight. Alan Baker and Peter Olsen coming to grips there. Craig Ross and Gary Jeffs on the front once more from Graham Gillespie and Eric Lavender. Craig Wrightson has been advantaged and he's right up there in the third row now. On his outside, Peter Olsen. The green flag has been dropped once more and away we go. And Greg Ross again has won the start. And this time Graham Gillespie moves quickly into second position from the inside of Gary Jeffs. Now Eric Lavender is moving up on the inside of Gary Jeffs to try and get third position. He does so. Craig Wrightson also pushing very quickly on the inside, and he moves up into fourth. Poor Gary Jeffs has gone back at a rate of knots. But Greg Ross still holding down the lead position from Graham Gillespie. Eric Lavender now is going to be challenged sincerely by Craig Wrightson, who moves up on the outside. And Craig Wrightson will move into third position as something goes amiss with Eric Lavender's car. Smoke billowing from the bonnet. Now Graham Gillespie moves up on the inside of Greg Ross and will just about take over the running, although Ross fights back. Won't let him take this lead easily. Graham Gillespie now on the low line has got the leader, moves into first position from Greg Ross. Craig Wrightson in third position from Gary Jeffs, and then Peter Olsen. Then Danny Hayes, Ron St. John, Mick Markham throwing the little car all over the place. Now Greg Ross has spun out on turn 2, but looks as though he might be able to rejoin the race. But this leaves Graham Gillespie well out in front. His only serious challenge is going to come from Craig Wrightson. Back in third position is Gary Jeffs. Then Peter Olsen and Danny Hayes, Ron St. John, Mick Markham slows down, Tom Grant and Bruce McCulloch go through. Then Steve Simmons, Ian Rickson and Greg Ross, who's rejoined the race. But coming down now with 4 laps to go, and Graham Gillespie's a good leader over Craig Wrightson. Peter Olsen now trying to move up on Gary Jeffs and move into third position. Danny Hayes a little bit further back, and then Ron St. John, and the field really is strung out in Indian file fashion. There's a good battle going on back in the minors. Graham Gillespie's well out in front from Craig Wrightson. A good battle here between Gary Jeffs and Peter Olsen. Peter Olsen driving the Steve Olsen car tonight is trying to move up on Gary Jeffs on the low line and can't do so. Now switches to the centre of the track and starts to line up in a better position to tackle Gary Jeffs. Graham Gillespie well out in front from Craig Wrightson. Gary Jeffs still being hammered at by Peter Olsen. Peter Olsen can't find a way through at this stage. And then back in fifth position is Danny Hayes, and then follows Ron St. John, Tom Grant, Bruce McCulloch and Greg Ross. Only 1 lap to go, and Graham Gillespie in the 22 car has got this shot to pieces barring mechanical failure. Craig Wrightson in second position. I think Gary Jeffs is going to be able to hang on to third as Steve Simmons blocks Peter Olsen there for a way through. But they come down with 1 turn to negotiate. And it's the 22 car of Graham Gillespie, a good winner, from the 16 of Craig Wrightson, the 31 of Gary Jeffs, the 25 of Peter Olsen, then the 50 of Danny Hayes, the 86 of Ian Rickson, Ron St. John, sorry, Ian Rickson was way back, then Tom Grant and Bruce McCulloch completing now. But that's a good win to Graham Gillespie. Of course, no time taken there. We've had just the odd 1 or 2 restarts in that hot rod handicap feature, over 15 laps. But a good win, nevertheless, to Graham Gillespie as he comes around now to get your plaudits. So give him a fine hand. It's the first time that Graham's been in the winner's circle for a while, and a well-deserved win too. As now we come out